I'm too short. This is going to come down. Okay, we actually have two guest speakers today, so I'm going to introduce the first one. Leanne Larson is the Early Learning Team Coordinator for the Maine Department of Education, where she supports early childhood and elementary education initiatives. Previous to this position, she spent 17 years serving as the department's elementary literacy specialist, which included leading Maine's state literacy plan, Literacy for Maine. Prior to joining the Maine Department of Education, Leanne was an elementary teacher and literacy coordinator for RSU 18 in Oakland. Her favorite job is being a mother of two beautiful daughters. So if you help me welcome Leanne Larson.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me just get this position right. So thank you very, very much for inviting myself and firstly LePage to come and join in education. I've spent many, many years working with teachers and other educators across our state to try to build the strongest literacy education system that we can possibly have for our youngsters in Maine. Because one of the things that we know is that if a child does not learn to read and write proficiently as they're coming up through our school systems, it's going to be a detriment for them as they enter their adult lives. In order to go on and seek higher education, in order to find a well-paying job in our economy, strong literacy skills are essential. In 2012, the Department of Education worked with a number of educators and other critical stakeholders to write a state literacy plan that we call Literacy for Maine. And that plan provides a number of recommendations to the Department of Education, which we have been working to carry out in the years since the plan was written. But one of the pieces that's the most special to me is that the plan encourages the Department of Education to support local communities to form their own literacy teams, because it really does take a village to raise children. And the models that our youngsters see with their parents, with their grandparents, other extended family, community members who take time reading and talking with them builds that foundation so that they can become strong. They're all a bit unique to their own communities. In your particular community, the work that the Rotary Club has done in partnership with several other organizations in Houlton to lead this effort has been tremendous. And I thank you, because you're making a huge difference to the students. We ask all Mainers to try to spend at least 15 minutes reading to a child, and then snap a photo of that, either that reading episode with the child or even just a picture of the book that they read, and post it on social media. And when they do, challenge someone else that's related to you, a friend of yours, to do the same with a child. It's my pleasure this afternoon to be able to introduce to you First Lady LePage, who has been a very strong supporter of the Read to Me Challenge. Anne became our First Lady when her husband Paul was elected governor and has served in that role for almost 8 years now. And just a little bit of background about Anne. She is a Maine native. Maine is near and dear to her heart, of course. And she, I think, would agree with me that probably her most important role is that of a mom, raising her own children and taking part in helping them grow to be strong. Major focuses has been on supporting military families. And in addition, she's done a tremendous number of outings to schools in our state to promote reading instruction. And we have been very honored to have her kick off the Read to Me Challenge each of the 3 years that it has been running. And it's just a real pleasure for me to be able to introduce her to you today.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for inviting me to come up to the Rotary Club meeting this morning. I always enjoy visiting the county. It really is God's country, and my mom was born in St. Augustine, so the county is very special to us. So today, we're here to talk about the Read to Me campaign, and I understand, as previously mentioned, the Houlton Rotary Club really leads the way. It's so much fun to read to kids. They're like sponges, soaking up everything that you say, literally, sometimes good, sometimes not so good. So I've been reading a lot to kids over the past month, and every time I go into a classroom, I learn something new. I typically have two books that I read. One of them is called Baxter and the Blaine House. This book was written by Paula Benoit, who used to work at the Blaine House when Paul was first elected governor. And she wrote it, and we used it as a fundraiser for the Friends of the Blaine House. And it's written in the eyes of Baxter. So it's a cute little book, and it's got some really neat, interesting things inside, all about the history of the Blaine House. But I got to tell a quick little story. I went down to Cape Elizabeth a few weeks ago, and I was reading. We lost Baxter a couple of years ago. He was ill, and he died. So when I was done, I usually open it up for the kids to ask some questions, and one little boy or a little girl asked me where Baxter was. And so I had to tell him or her that Baxter had died. So when I left, I got in the car, and the state trooper, Mr. Slattery, your buddy, says to me, he says, "First Lady, you should never, ever say that Baxter died." He said, "You should tell him that Baxter got married and moved to the county." Okay. So last week I went to St. Michael's School in Augusta, and a little boy asked me about Baxter. So I said, I am so sorry. I said, Baxter got married and moved to the county. And he looks at me, he wasn't buying it. So I had to confess that Baxter actually had passed away. So today when I was up at the school in the first grade, somebody asked me about Baxter, and I said Baxter got married and moved to the county, and it was that. They took it, they bought it hook, line, and sinker. Didn't ask me any more questions. But I was really impressed with the kids and the teachers over there. It was absolutely phenomenal. But as a mom, I always believed in the importance of early childhood literacy as it pertained to our kids' success. He lives in California, and I'm not going to say that Devin loves to read, but we did get him to actually open up the books and look at something that did interest him. But the National Center for Educational Statistics has shown that the single most important method for building the knowledge required for later reading and learning success is reading aloud to children. Reading to children helps them learn to talk and to listen. It grows their vocabulary. It helps build their attention spans. It encourages them to ask questions. It's a wonderful way for children to bond with parents and other caregivers, to get to know their community leaders. The Read to Me Challenge is a fun and easy way to bring awareness to the importance of reading aloud to kids of all ages. Reading aloud to kids models reading as an enjoyable, lifelong activity, not just school time or a work time task. Having leaders like yourselves in the community participate in the Read to Me Challenge is really, really phenomenal. That I gave to the Department of Education's Read to Me program was read, 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 and read some more. See how many opportunities that you can find over the next month to read to kids. And you will enjoy it. So thank you very much, and thank you for inviting us up here today. The lunch was wonderful. Thanks.